Welcome back to Frederick Advice Givers, episode 147. I am Eric Verdi, sitting here with Dr. Amir with Mid-Atlantic Chiropractic in Frederick. We are in the building next to the big BB&T building, right?
That's right.
Right next door. Professional building here. One of my partners actually comes in to Dr. Amir's practice here, and it seems that's how we got to meet Dr. Amir today. He's got a wonderful backstory. He's got 3 awesome kids. I told him he's about a year away from getting his life back. You said your youngest is 2, right?
That's right.
So about a year away, and you and your wife will get your life back.
That's great. Looking forward to that.
All right, so Dr. Amir, tell us your backstory. Tell us who you are, where you grow up, that sort of thing.
You got it. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored with the list of people you've had on your show. This is a true honor. So thank you very much. I was 9 years old when I decided I had to become a doctor, and the reason for that was my dad and I were traveling. You know, he wanted to move us to America, and before we moved, he wanted to show me how some people live and what the villages in Iran look like. So these are villages in the foothills of the Elborz mountain range. And in one of these villages, a woman went into labor. She's in tremendous pain. Obviously, there's some complications. People were gathered around. A midwife walked over, knelt down, and examined her, stood up and said, "I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. There's no heartbeat, and she's not going to live." And all of us knew she's not going to survive a mule ride down the side of the mountain to get to a hospital. And they started to leave one by one. And her husband just collapsed, started crying, because he would have to say goodbye to his wife right there and then. At the age of 9, I'm looking into the eyes of this young woman who's just told she's not going to live another few hours. And I started to cry. And you know, when your chest feels tight and your heart's pounding and you're just gasping for air. 9 years old. Too much for me to handle. My dad saw me, picked me up, he held me, he carried me out of there, he calmed me down, and then the 2 of us climbed down the mountain. We got in our car to drive home. On the drive home, "Dad, I don't want to feel like that ever again." Like what? You know, helpless. So I'm going to go be a surgeon. I'm going to be the best surgeon in the whole world. I'm going to carry my medical bag with me everywhere I go. I'm going to save lives. That was the plan. 10 years later, we were living in Gaithersburg, Maryland. I went home for Christmas break. I was a student at George Washington, getting ready to go to med school. Went home, saw my dad wearing this big, thick white neck brace. He's under the influence of some serious painkillers, and he was paralyzed from the shoulders down to his arms. He couldn't lift his arms to give me a hug. And we ended up going doctor to doctor trying to figure out what is wrong with my dad. And every doctor we went to said, "This is beyond my scope. There's too much degeneration in this neck. He needs surgery." The neurosurgeons said, "We're going to have to slice you open in the back of the neck, break and remove the bones in the back of the spine, take pressure off the spinal cord. We're going to put rods in on the sides, screw them into your spine, fuse your whole neck, and you'll never turn your head again. And you may not regain function of your hands. But we're hoping you'll have less pain, but there's a chance you'll die because you're old." And 3 neurosurgeons all said the same thing. We got in a taxi to go home. I was in the back of the taxi carrying all the x-rays and MRIs, and my dad was just cringing because every bump that taxi hit, I could tell was sending a bolt of pain through his entire body. I could tell he just didn't want to live anymore. And emotionally, I was feeling the same thing I did in that village when I saw the woman pass away in her husband's arms. And so this taxi driver saw me getting ready to cry, saw my dad suffering with all the pain. He said, "Hey, listen, there's a chiropractor down the street. Would you rather me take you there?" And I was a 19-year-old know-it-all, so I said no, but my dad didn't want that surgery. So he said, "Yeah, let's try it."
Right.
Long story short, we showed up in this chiropractor's office. The chiropractor took 6 months, so it wasn't a quick fix. But 6 months later, my dad had full use of his hands, and he was pain-free without a neck brace. Never had surgery. And so I decided I had to go do what this guy did and become a chiropractor. Now, Dad lived to be 88.
Awesome.
And he lived long enough to stand next to me as my best man when I got married, and he got to meet my first son. I have 3 sons. Dad met my first son. That meant a lot to me, and really what drives me is this, that you know, when my dad was sick and when he was suffering, he wasn't the only one who suffered. Everybody in the family suffered. And why I'm passionate about being healthy without drugs, without surgery, is that if I don't take care of my health, my 3 sons will suffer. Right. So will my wife. And that's what it's all about.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So my father was also the best man at my wedding.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's great.
It's awesome to have that relationship, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so why did you choose to settle down I mean, you came from Iran. You
Yeah.
moved to Gaithersburg, right?
Yes.
Why did you choose to settle down in Frederick?
It seemed like Frederick had the need. I started my first practice in Woodbine, actually.
Oh, small little town.
Yeah,
That's a real small town.
The plan was, I want to pick the smallest town I know with the fewest people.
Right.
Because I thought I had no budget for marketing or advertising. I said, well, I'm going to go door to door. I'm going to meet people face to face, and I want to do it in a small town, somewhere where word of mouth travels.
Right.
So I picked Woodbine. I found a doctor's office. It was an urgent care, and the doctor was only there from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So I thought I'd go in there from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and see patients there, and it worked out. But I found out a lot of our patients were coming from Frederick, all the way to Woodbine.
Okay.
So then I moved the practice over here.
Awesome. And you said when you moved to Frederick, you were downtown first?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, corner of Market and Second, next to Brewers Alley. Great place. I really miss it. It was nice.
Well, I mean, so downtown Frederick, like that's one of the common themes throughout the interviews, especially when I'm interviewing local business owners that are actually downtown.
Right.
Is they'll come to Frederick and they'll come from, all over the world, all over the country, and they'll be like, man, just Frederick has a pretty cool vibe to it. So I bet you do miss it downtown because, you at lunch you could go walk around and grab a burger, or, whatever.
Exactly.
All right, so the next two questions will kind of loosen you up here, get a little behind the scenes.
All right.
What's the last purchase that you splurged on for yourself or your family or your practice?
For myself, I like Jeep Wranglers.
Okay.
So I wanted to find an old one, but
you
it had
were
to
the
be...
third interview in a row.
Seriously?
where somebody's bought a vehicle. That's pretty funny. Go ahead.
So that was it. I found a nice Jeep Wrangler and bought that a couple years ago, and I've been pouring money into it ever since.
Was it a specific year?
Yeah, I wanted to be at like between 97, 2007 era, because I used to have one in that same era and sold
so
it.
Brought
always
back some memories.
regretted it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Exactly.
So Dr. Amir, what hobby or interest could you spend hours doing?
Gosh, well, having three boys, they take up a lot of my time, and rightfully so. I enjoy being with them. I like football, cars, and what I do.
Okay.
Aside from that, I'm very passionate about my involvement in our church.
Okay.
So that really is where it goes. So if you get me talking about football, I'll talk your head off.
Who's your team?
And after that, Redskins.
Me too.
Is that
It's
right?
been a long-suffering, long-suffering life, hasn't it?
So we talk about the old days,
right?
Because my first year in Gaithersburg was 1987, and I didn't know much about football at all.
Right.
And they went to the Super Bowl,
Correct.
and Doug Williams stepped in and did that whole thing. So ever since then, I was hooked. I can't cheer for anybody else.
I know. And then since '91, it's been a disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up. Like I mentioned, I'm from this area, so like the '82 Super Bowl, I was 6. So from the time I was a really young kid till '91, you thought that was, always how it was. You were always in the playoffs for Super Bowl, and then we've had long-suffering fan.
Terrible.
All right, so Dr. Amir, I have a pretty good idea of where you're going to go with this.
Okay.
Because of you're so passionate about helping your dad and helping. It's been so personal to you. But when you wake up in the morning, what's that drive inside of you that gets you to the office every day and gets you to help your patients? What's that motivation?
First thing I think about when I wake up is there's an opportunity out there, and I don't want to miss it. So, and to be prepared for that opportunity, I need to be awake. I need to be alert. I need to be ready. So I intentionally get up extra early in the morning. And I start the day with like 2 big glasses of water just to hydrate. My brain is still shut off, so I do a series of exercises to wake up. Then it's coffee, read my Bible, do some prayers, and then I go to the gym, finish working out, and then I'm here. So, but it's all about physically, mentally, and emotionally having the capacity to serve. If my heart's not open to serving and I'm not able to step into their position of what that person's feeling or what that person's going through, there's no way I can be effective. Part of that is I've got to put myself out of the way, get my life, my worries, my troubles all out of the way and not think about it so I can really focus. But what ultimately drives me is there's an opportunity to be somebody that someone needs. And that's everything.
Awesome. So what advice, you've owned your own chiropractic business since you started out, is that correct? Or did you work for somebody first?
Just a year. Yeah, I worked for someone for a year and then did the Woodbine thing.
Okay.
Part-time, I worked for others just till the business got up and running, so yeah.
So since you've owned the business, what's one piece of advice that you could give another entrepreneur and business owner that you found has helped you succeed? It can be a shortcut. It can be whatever.
Number one, do whatever it takes. You have to have that mentality, is do whatever it takes, because if you're doing your best, you're going to get what you have right now. So you've got to go above and beyond all the time. Be willing to step out of your comfort zone and really be willing to do the uncomfortable things. Like I went door to door. Right. Knocking on doors was a crazy, scary thing, and there were some people who slammed the door in my face. There were people who invited me into their house, right. And then those are the people who built my practice and sent me patients and supported me, and when I had events, they showed up. So that's the biggest thing. Number two, I would say, is that understand that your business is the best form of self-expression. So when you start a business, the beauty of it is you get to design it exactly how you want and build it. And it can be an expression of your passions, your dreams, your goals, and the impact you want to leave. Hopefully, you'll do the business with the intention of it outlasting you. That when I'm dead, when I'm gone, this thing will continue to serve for a long time.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what's a bad piece of advice on the flip side that somebody might have given you that said, hey, if you do this, it'll work, and it ended up backfiring?
Oh, man. I don't know if this is a bad piece of advice because it all depends on your goals and what you want to accomplish. But, you know, a lot of people say stay small, keep it small because it's too stressful. Try to run the office with fewer employees, do less, right. Don't try to get so big. And my philosophy is, you know, let's do it right. And I like having a lot of people around me, so I hire a lot of people and try to go bigger than maybe I should.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a fine line too. You've still got to have your customer or your client number one, and the rest of it kind of, you know, it kind of falls into place.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you're taking care of your clients and your employees see that, and then your employees take care of their clients, which in turn takes care of you. Yeah. As long as you're providing the back end support for your employees, right. Then they can take care of the clients. So like it's a never-ending circle.
You're exactly right.
You know, being the business owner, you've got to take care of everybody.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Yeah.
So in the last 3 years, what's one choice that you've made that's led us to sitting here today?
Oh, here's a huge one. So in this is kind of ironic, actually. Being a chiropractor, on May 5th of 2014, I herniated 2 discs in my low back. And it was at the end of the day. It was a Monday. I had seen like 80 patients that day. The last one was a 2-year-old. I kind of picked him up the wrong. I was sitting on the floor because I was chasing him all over the floor. We have a kids area back there. And so I picked him up, and I could feel 2 discs go in my back. And I hadn't been doing a good job taking care of myself. So it was the straw that broke the camel's back. Long story short, I couldn't practice for 6 weeks. During those 6 weeks, I got 5 letters of resignation on my desk. Everybody quit. They left. And I had to bring in temporary staff and temporary doctors to take care of the patients. And during that time, my wife came back to work and started helping with billing and insurance and answering phones and all that. And I saw the amount of pain and agony she was going through with the insurance stuff, because with insurance companies, you've got to fill out all these different forms, and you've got to do it right or you don't get paid. And at the end of that, a few weeks into that, I said, you know what, I think we need to stop. So we dropped all insurances, and we stopped accepting insurance completely.
Still accept insurance?
And so we don't accept any insurance.
Anymore you don't?
Not at all, not at all. And actually our practice tripled over the next 3 years. And so now a lot of people use us as a last resort because they go to places that are in their network and people do take their insurance. But then sometimes if that's not working, they end up here. And we're able to put all our focus, all our attention, all our energy on one thing. Give them the absolute best care possible. And that's helped us. We don't have a billing office.
Wow, very cool. I mean, I imagine you take different forms of payments, though, like credit cards, right?
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we arrange payment schedules for people, and we'll even submit for them. But if insurance is going to reimburse them, it reimburses them directly.
Okay, cool. All right, so I've sat across the microphone from 146 other entrepreneurs and business owners. I get to learn things about business and life every day from you guys, from the guests. I want to flip the script and have you ask me a question.
Sure.
We met 20 minutes ago, and
Yeah.
so ask me a question, anything.
Well, what I would like to know from you, someone who's met so many amazing, incredible people, is what would you like to see change in Frederick?
Personally, what I'd like to see change is I'd like growth to slow down.
Yeah.
I think we're slowly losing our small town
We are.
feel.
Yeah.
Planned growth is great.
Sure.
All this unplanned stuff that's popping up all over the place, I think it's eventually going to take away the heart of Frederick, which is, as I mentioned earlier,
Oh, yeah.
people move to Frederick because it's such a tight-knit community. They love
right.
downtown. They love knowing people. There's common threads of, there's not many degrees of separation
Right.
in Frederick about who do you know.
Yeah.
You go to 1 to 2 people and you can basically get with everybody in Frederick.
Right.
So from a personal standpoint, I think the growth needs to slow down.
Yeah.
That being said, I've met so many wonderful people that there has to be, as I mentioned earlier, planned growth. There has to be strategic
Sure.
growth.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you say that, because when I told everybody I'm going to open an office in Frederick, this was 2006.
Right.
Everyone said, don't do it in Frederick because it's such a tight-knit community.
Right.
They said, you'll never get in because it's
Well,
an
that's
old
true.
boys club, and you really have to know somebody before you go. Who do you know? I didn't know anybody.
Right.
So again, we did the same thing. We went door to door. We went to every business, met every business owner. And we went to City Hall and met the mayor, and we talked to everybody.
Right.
And that's the only way we got our foot in. But you're right. It's not like it was. Even 12 years ago
Right.
when I came here, it's changed since then. So
It
that's
has.
kind of sad.
All right, so Dr. Amir, what failure or loss, and this could go back to your original answer, has helped mold you and set you up for success?
There's so many failures.
Right.
We like to fail and fail fast because that's how we know things aren't going to work. So we've started and stopped a lot of programs through the office. A while back, we did this thing called the Frederick Wellness Challenge, where we even had NBC donate TV time to us, and our commercial ran during the Biggest Loser program, and we had a bunch of business owners sponsor teams. We had 6 teams of 10 people competing for. It was what was that TV show where people would go through Europe and they had all these things they had to find, some kind of adventure. Anyways, that's what we did in Frederick, where these teams had to go do these obstacle courses throughout the city and win. So we had an event every Saturday, and then twice a week they had to work out with their trainer, and it was a 10-week program, and then we crowned the champion, and we were on TV, and it was a great thing. We did that for 3 years, but it failed. We were hoping that would be a big thing. We wanted to make Frederick the wellness capital of America.
Right.
It didn't work out, So what I learned was I need to focus on what I really know and what I'm good at, which is what I do here in the office. We got into real estate at the worst time. Tons of rental properties back in 2006 all the way through 2011, and then we had to get rid of all of it. And I'm not a property manager, and I shouldn't be. I know what I'm good at, and I need to stick to that.
Stay in your lane.
So the big failures are teaching me, do what you know, stick with that.
Right. So where do you see yourself, Dr. Amir, in 3 years and then in 10 years?
I would love this practice to have more chiropractors. I think there's a need for.
And how many do you have now?
We have 2 others besides me, so we're a team of 3 chiropractors, 4 other staff members. So we're a team of 7. I'd love this location to have 5 chiropractors.
Okay.
And so we can open maybe from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., possibly 5-6 days a week, and really be able to serve. Our style of chiropractic is different. Our focus is, we start with where everybody else starts, which is get you to feel better. But then after that, our focus next is let's make you stronger. Because, and I wrote this book called The Stress-Proof Life for that very reason, is because your life depends on how much stress you can handle. So if you can handle this much stress, and this much comes your way, you're going to get sick. That's when you catch a cold in the summer. You see people sniffling when it's warm outside. It's because their adaptability to stress is lower than the stress in their life. So we work to, once you're better, we make you stronger. Then we want to make sure you live longer. And lastly, we want to make sure you always feel younger than your age. And so we take you through this 4-step process, and that's what makes us really different than other chiropractors, and I believe there's a need for that. So I would love to open up more offices right here in Frederick. I think we could open one up north and one west and east. And
Awesome.
yeah, see that happen over the next 5 years.
Awesome. So how would our listeners get a hold of you? Where are you located? Facebook?
Yeah, midatlanticclinic.com is the easiest. And then I have a YouTube channel called MACC Health.
Okay.
And tons of videos.
So, talk to me about the YouTube channel. So what kind of content do you have on there?
I have little segments about the book and how to increase your ability to handle stress. But we also we give our patients certain exercises. We have all the exercises on that as well. So every time a patient has an evaluation with us, they get a list of about 3, 4, or 5 exercises they have to do every day, and then we reevaluate them. So all those exercises are on there, and then certain tips on how to, how to handle sunlight, or why you should take a 10-minute nap at 4 p.m. specifically every single day. So there's a video explaining that, and why rhythmic repetitive exercises will benefit you, and it should be part of your routine. So there's lots of videos, over 100 videos there.
Awesome. And you're on Facebook?
Facebook as well. Yeah, again, it's the fan page for Mid-Atlantic Chiropractic Center.
Okay. And where are we located and phone number?
This is 7196 Crestwood Boulevard. We're next to FMH Crestwood and Kaiser Permanente, next to the BB&T Bank building. And phone number here is 301-698-0001.
Awesome. Listeners, viewers, I hope you enjoyed Dr. Amir. Say your last name.
Rashidian.
Dr. Amir Rashidian.
Perfect.
Owner of Mid-Atlantic Chiropractic here in Frederick. And we are out.